Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob, and today I'm bringing you 3 stories from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Now, before we start, I just want to say a quick sorry. I know I haven't posted to my channel in about 2 weeks. Between illness and getting my mother-in-law moved to another place, well, YouTube just hasn't been my priority. But we're back, we're better than ever, and I'm going to get back to posting daily again. Alright, enough of that, let's get to it. This story comes to us from Chibi_T. Let the kids work? Walk the line of breaking child labor laws? Fine, let's jump right in. A bit of background. So a few years ago when I was in my second year of college, I got a job at a well-known beauty supply store. A red flag at first were that my manager, let's call her C, didn't give me my hourly wage until my first day, and I came in to sign the onboarding paperwork. But college is expensive and I got my first apartment at that time, so a job was a job. One day, I come into my afternoon shift and I see 2 kids putting out stock from boxes onto the shelves. One was about 10 and the other maybe 6 or 7. I was very confused. So I walked to the back room to clock in and asked my coworker what was up with the kids. And she told me they're her grandkids. Still a little confused, I shrugged it off until C came back from her lunch break, and I decided to ask her what to do about the kids, because they were kind of in the way, and we had quite a few planograms to do. They're essentially the shifting of shelves and products on the shelves to make room for new products or removing old ones the company no longer will sell. C decided then to tell me that she is watching them today, and decided since it was stock day that she was going to get them to help and give them like $10 each at the end of her shift. She usually opened and left a couple of hours before close, so that was close to about 8 to 5 kind of hours, meaning these kids have been doing this for a while, and just for $10. Now, our merchandise wasn't heavy, except for 3 to 4 different gallon-sized bottles of shampoo and conditioner we kept for salons. But it didn't sit right with me that this woman was basically employing her underage grandkids to do work for her in this store. And there are quite a few chemicals we handled that would sometimes come spilled in the box, and if we didn't handle them with gloves, we could risk burning ourselves. I know because I made the mistake my second week there, and burned my hand a bit with an unknown combination of bleach, toner, and something else in a mishandled box of assorted hair products in bottles. I digress. So yeah, breaking the law and whatnot. So I tell her, and this is roughly how the convo went. So this is pretty wrong, and I don't feel comfortable working alongside these children. If they get hurt or injured by one of the shelves or a spilled chemical product, then we can all be held liable. That sounded reasonable to 19-year-old me, right? Wrong. I don't appreciate the back talk, young lady. Those are my grandchildren, and I do with them what I please. Not to mention, I am the manager here, not you. So get started on those planograms. The pictures are due in 2 days. I was still advocating for her to do the right thing. I just don't think it's right that you're paying them essentially to do this dangerous job. It goes against child labor laws, and I don't think I can get my work done around them. The store was so small, there was only one short wall and shelf in the middle of the store splitting it in half. So not much wiggle room to do planogram stuff with kids and customers in the way. I'm not repeating myself, OP. Mind your business and do as you're told. I won't repeat myself. I have a split second to think about what I'll do next before she walks away. I never cared about getting on her bad side because I never did anything wrong. She just never liked me for some reason. So I decided to say, wait, can you email me your directions for how to maneuver around the kids? I want to make sure so-and-so, the next shift coworker who's coming in about 30 minutes, knows what to do in case I'm in the back or something. C rolls her eyes, already annoyed with me an hour into my shift, and says, whatever. 20 minutes later, I get an email in my inbox, nothing but the subject in all caps. My grandkids will be working stock while everyone else does the new planograms. I gave the kids $10 to help in the store and have lunch in the fridge. And that's verbatim. With a quick search in my email, she basically typed her own career grave with that one. So a little plan slowly comes into effect. I decide I'm going to email that exact thing to the coworker who came in, even though we already verbally filled her in. But oops, I accidentally CC'd the district manager, who happens to be C's direct boss. In the meantime, I do as I'm told. I finish up what I can of the planograms for the day and on to the next day. C has her grandkids in again. Same old set of directions. I have her send me an email, feigning stupidity so I can send it to the next shift worker and accidentally CC the district manager again. 2 weeks go by and it happens just one more time. I eventually get a call from an unknown number on a day off, and hooray, it's the district manager. Let's call him Dave. And he says, "Hey OP, this is Dave calling from our district office. I was getting back to you on this email that I was CC'd in a few weeks ago that you sent me. What is this about grandkids and $10? I explain everything to him, and of course, with the emails as proof, there's no deniability. He says if there is anything else that I find to please let him know, and then tells me he will forward all of this to the head of HR and they will begin an investigation. I'm feeling quite satisfied and continue to work as though the phone call never happened, and she eventually did stop bringing her grandkids by, but not before the investigation was rumored to have started. A month and a half passed by, and I put in my 2 weeks notice because I found a better job and hated it there. She tried to fire me, but it didn't work out, and I came back the same day she fired me, story for another day, and I get a call from Dave again. He tells me they finished their investigation and found her conspiring to break child labor laws or something like that, and will be removed from her position, but also found in their investigation that all 5 stores in the district got a complete clean out of every level employee in the store, because they found many of them were falsifying their rewards points, essentially inputting their own phone numbers instead of the customer ones so they could get more discounts. Okay, so that story ended right there, and it was a really quick ending, so that leads me to believe there's a cover-up going on. Do you really think that they came up with this reward point thing beforehand, or they just needed something to cover this up and hide the child labor law issue so they didn't get in trouble with the Department of Labor? You know that when Dave talked to HR said, "Oh, I need to protect the company," and then they looked for anything they could to get rid of that manager. They stumbled across the rewards program thing, found other people that were doing the same thing, and fired them all at the same time, because then it looked like a big investigation that had nothing to do with that one store breaking child labor laws. This story comes to us from Rare Cheesecake 9701. Stop bothering us with that deadline. We've got this. Sure thing, kids. Let's jump right in. Hello everyone, this story is somewhat fresh and I'm still smirking when I remember it, so I decided to share. Some background: I, 27 female, work in IT. I'm a well-respected and known member of the IT party circle, where I live, so to speak. I am not jaw-dropping, but people know me and I have a very good reputation. One of the things is that I got to the point in my career when I wanted to give back, so I started mentoring others. Mostly, I mentored adults or those who were closer to me in age, career advice, how to apply for different exchange programs that can boost their professional growth, and improve their speaking and writing skills, the usual. But I always was one up for the challenge and decided to try and mentor kids. It is not a secret that IT and STEM are increasingly popular right now, and more people want to get into the field. Therefore, there are myriads of boot camps, hackathons, and mentoring programs for all ages. So I signed up for one such program as a mentor. Teach kids how to code with blocks, tell them what AI is, and how to develop an MVP. It sounds more complicated than it might look at first glance, especially when you are an educated professional with a degree, explaining concepts that are rather complicated to children who may have less than 1/50th of your tech knowledge. I must add that participation in the said program gives kids credits and can help them get into better schools, or even be eligible for some university scholarships later in life. So only pros if you ask me. The only thing is that they must upload their MVP project to the site before the deadline. I was assigned 2 teams, primary early middle schoolers, Team A, and high schoolers, Team B. Both had 5 members, and the youngest in Team A was 8 years old. I thought, oh my gosh, that will be tough, thinking about Team A and how I am up for a tough time. Also, since they are so young, the parents of the kids must observe Team A meetings and my lessons. And parents equals problems. Ironically, despite my worries, even with help from the parents, the kids in Team A were doing great. But the same can't be said about Team B. A little side note, with my mentees, I have 2 rules. 1, at least 1 meeting per week. At least 50% of the group must be present. 2, communication. When I type something, like tasks to do or reply to a question asked before, I ask my mentees to respond. Not even text a thumbs up emoji will also suffice. We all know that red status doesn't mean much when you can accidentally open an app for a second and swipe it to clear RAM on the phone. So Team A attended all the meetings and responded to my assignments. There was a curriculum provided by a program to follow, and they were very receptive overall. When Team B started okay, but then started not showing on meetings and leaving assignments read but unresponded. I understand they have a lot on their plate. Exams are no joke, but they disregarded my time, which I will not be okay with. I have a job to do, and mentoring in that program was 100% volunteering, and there was no payment for the mentors. There was, however, a very strict deadline, the middle of April, when their MVPs must be loaded onto the website for later judgment. I, even when pissed, am a professional first, and an angry lady second. So I wrote multiple messages asking for updates on the project, with warnings at the end that deadline is April 15th, don't miss it. After one such message, the so-called leader of Team B, Sam, wrote me this. Hi OP, I know that you probably mean well, but you only bother the team with those deadline messages. Can't you chill out? When we need you, we will contact you and all. Just get off our hair and let us do our job. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. It is what it is, heart emoji. After I read that message, I was like, WTF? But I did respond that I would stop messaging if that caused tension within the team. Though the deadline is still on the 15th and the site would reject any application that was uploaded after. Just stop, okay? Jeez, said Sam to that. So I decided, okay, I'm washing my hands out of this. Cue malicious compliance. Since that message, I haven't written anything to Team B. I had scheduled no meetings, updates, or checkups about their curriculum and their understanding. And definitely not written reminder of the deadline once. Deadline came. Team A uploaded their project with no issues, and their parents even bought me a nice box of chocolate as a thank you gesture. Just like the deadline came and went, Team B started bombarding the chat, asking me to help because something is wrong with the site. We can't upload our project. I entered the chat and said, yes, it will not upload. No, it is not an issue with the site. The deadline has passed. So if you try to upload, it will only show you an error message. I warned you, kids. No extra credits, no nothing. The rules of that program are simple, but they are hard, no exception ones. Team B tried to blame me, saying that as a mentor, it was my job to ensure they would succeed. I reminded them that my job as a mentor is to provide support and guidance, keep track of their progress, and remind them of the deadline, which all of the above, they, via Sam, asked me not to. And since I respected their boundaries, I did exactly what they had requested. They can sulk as much as they want. I have all our communication in writing, so they don't have a leg to stand on when trying to accuse me of sabotaging them in the program. Tough luck, kids. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called CountryMouse359. It says, I mean, you did teach them a valuable lesson, even if it wasn't the one they wanted. This was replied to by another user called ECP001. They said, it's probably the first time they've experienced a real deadline with serious consequences for failure. They don't recognize absolutes. Their lives have been full of suggestions, not orders, all with slipping negotiable requirements, deadlines, responsibilities, and duties. Social promotion, participation awards, subjective standards, and the constant declarations of good job have prevented lessons in A, taking anything seriously, B, accepting responsibility, and C, how to lose and recover from the loss. Now, as any longtime listeners and viewers of KCC will know, I try to stay as neutral as I can on this channel, But I completely agree with that comment. Actions should have consequences. And the way our school systems are going right now, well, those consequences are basically gone. I think I'll just leave it at that. I know the comment section is going to be polarizing on this one, but I'd really like to hear your opinions on the current schooling system. This story comes to us from DC 1920. Sit and look pretty instead of doing actual work? Okay, let's jump right in. First time poster in this sub, I was told this belongs here. Sorry for the length. For the sake of clarity, I'm going to say I work in an industry which is similar to warehousing. Same logic in the grand scheme of things. In my branch and several surrounding branches, there are only 2 staff members to keep the place running, so we all have casual uniforms, just a polo shirt and appropriate pants and footwear. I mainly do administration work and have a team member who works in the back end of things, but I'm capable and willing to jump outside when required of me. Examples of me needing to work in the back would be if we have a huge rush, or if I need to send my teammate to help at another branch or out on the road to collect stock, and I have to fill in for him while he's gone. It's a pretty good setup because working outside really breaks up the monotony of being stuck at a desk all day, and it's easy enough to do both parts of the job when I need to. Some genius in head office decided he wanted to change the uniform for any and all admin staff to something a little more corporate and dressy. I can only describe this uniform as a 3-piece suit, made with the heaviest fabrics known to man. Suddenly, I've gone from wearing a polo shirt, which is comfortable and easy to move around in, to wearing a white long-sleeve business shirt with a vest, jacket, and neckerchief, complete with a skirt, stockings, and a slight heel. I straight up look like a flight attendant working in an industrial warehouse, and can barely lift my arms high enough to hold my steering wheel on the drive to work. It was a poorly designed uniform, and I was so incredibly uncomfortable wearing it. I was very quick to voice my anger. I first mentioned how it is unfair, borderline cruel, to expect staff to wear such a thick and layered uniform when we live in Australia, particularly in a place known for our consistent high temperatures and harsh sun. I then asked how I would be expected to leave the desk to operate machinery and do heavy lifting in a suit, skirt, and heels. I was met with the promise that anyone working in admin and wearing a corporate uniform would not have to leave their desk to do any back-end work at all. I raised another concern, stating that we did not have enough staff for them to make this particular promise and still maintain our quality of work and hit our deadlines, and was met with a strong guarantee that I would not have to do any physical work in my day-to-day operations. I was all but ordered to sit at the desk to look appealing for clients and never move from there. Okay then, no problem. From that point onwards, I followed their instructions. I never left my desk. There would suddenly be long wait times for orders and fulfillments because my team member was on the road on a job and there was no one on site to continue his work until he got back. If my team member called in sick, I would spend the day pushing back deadlines with clients, which affected our targets and our reputation. Funnily enough, my teammate only started getting sick because I had to have the office aircon on freezing temperatures, so I wouldn't get heat stroke at my desk. I was honest with clients who had complaints and explained that I would usually step in to help to make sure their needs were met, but was specifically instructed not to anymore, and then redirected their complaints through to customer service in head office. After a few months of this, I was invited to a meeting with 3 of my district managers and an HR representative. They were clearly upset about the drop in productivity and amount of complaints we were receiving. I let them all say their piece before reminding them I raised these concerns to them months ago and was merely following instruction given to me, which were abundantly clear that I was to take care of admin work at my desk and do nothing else. I let them know my hands were tied, so all I could do was look pretty and placate clients when we inevitably couldn't meet their needs as promised. I suggested hiring more warehousing staff to fill in the gaps left by the admin staff who were now chained to their desk by their uniform and unable to ease the pressure of the workload like we used to do. I could see that comment definitely hit them right where I wanted it to, and they couldn't argue with me for following their instructions. So I was told they would get back to me on a solution moving forward. Well, here I am at work 2 weeks later, typing this post while wearing my old polo shirt uniform. I was fully prepared to find another job if their solution wasn't reasonable. And maybe I still will look to leave this place, but I'll take the win for now. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Presto Magic Man. It says, take this story, redo it in a positive light, and put it on your resume. Successfully led efforts to improve safety quality and customer satisfaction by working with senior leadership to mitigate gaps I identified in daily operations. OP responded to this comment and said, that is actually fantastic. I'm going to put that on there. Well, OP, I'm glad you stuck up for yourself, and you actually made the work situation better for anybody else doing your role in other buildings owned by that same company. A lot of people aren't willing to step up because they fear repercussions, but apparently you don't. Although it does seem like you're fairly mobile and thinking about looking for another job. It's nice to have that kind of flexibility when you want to stick it back to management for something they did that was just incredibly dumb. Check out all 3 OPs linked in the description down below. Also, did you know we upload every single one of the KCC videos in podcast form? Just ask for Karma Comment Chameleon wherever you get your podcasts. I thank you for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.